Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 3, Episode 6, titled Locked Hearts and Hand Grenades. Oh my god, weird title. Air date November 9th, 2005, and the synopsis is:
In an effort to keep her cheerleaders from fighting over the same guys, Brooke creates a fantasy boy draft, and then Haley and Peyton butt heads over Nathan, while Lucas has trouble keeping up with the brutal pace of basketball practice. Meanwhile, as the election nears, mayoral candidate Dan clashes with his new opponent.
So I loved how it opened, because it was the news or something. It was of the night of the
fight.
Yeah, and they said, yeah, when asked about the incident, Coach Whitey Durham had no comment. He goes, "Oh, I got a comment."
Mm-hmm.
It was
But
so funny.
who filmed this? Because we didn't see like news reporters there, right?
No, they must have been on the sideline somewhere.
Yeah, I just thought that was weird. Because it wasn't like an official game or anything either, so.
No, I just thought it was funny.
Hmm.
Also, is it weird how we've jumped from the beginning of the school year, which is like August or September, all the way into November now?
Yeah, it is.
Because that's the beginning of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So we're already into November of this school year.
I guess, yeah. And their senior year goes for 2 seasons, so.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. And it's crazy because season 4, they're still playing basketball, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So season 3 and like part of season 4, all of a couple months.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved how he, his idea of punishment is all those, is the suicide drills.
Right.
And
Yeah,
of course, Lucas is going to die.
Right. But that was funny how he said that payback is a bitch and the currency is pain.
Mm-hmm. What I can't understand is Lucas. You know exactly why you can't catch up to the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just annoying that you're not going to say anything.
Right. I'm surprised nobody noticed either.
They all noticed that he couldn't run and keep up with them. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, but like something may be wrong that he can't do it.
Now, don't you think that he was born with this?
Yeah, he should have been.
So I'm confused at why last season he was fine. But now this season, he can't keep up. He's going to pass out on the floor. It's just weird. Like if you have had this disease, but you just never knew about it, I feel like you would have always
struggled.
Yeah. Even Dan, all of a sudden he has it.
I don't know.
30 some years. I just realized it. Like he's 30 some years old. Like, and he played high school. He played first year of college, and yet he never had a heart attack or any chest pains or anything.
Right.
It's just weird. I would think that'd be the one thing of him stopping basketball, not a knee injury.
Yeah, and then Dan pees into the pool.
Oh my, that's so gross.
Because Debs had clogged toilets. Oh, is that what it was? I don't know. What could have been both, but.
Well, she was gonna go swimming, so he wanted to pee in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's because she clogged the toilet.
Yeah, so I think it was both. Yeah. Oh, and then he told her that the water is warm. She's in for a treat.
And she goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why would you play she knows him.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you know it's warm? I highly doubt you went in it. You got a freaking suit on.
Mm-hmm. And then at school, Haley pretends to run into Nathan and then mentions the fight with Lucas at the Midnight Madness and wishes they could just go back to the way things used to be before she left.
Did you like her running into him?
No, because you think by now she would be able just to talk to him again without pretending it was an accident.
Mm-hmm. I was just annoyed of it because I'm like, it's just kind of weird that they're now talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Yeah,
Wasn't that like a couple weeks ago?
probably, yeah.
So it's just kind of weird that now she's gonna bring. Wouldn't you have brought up like the next day?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's weird to me is you're waiting a couple weeks.
Right.
I wonder if this was really truly written in this episode or like last. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, and then Nathan brings up about her cheerleading again. And Haley explains that it was Brooke that needed help, but she's glad she can see him more. And then asks if he's okay with it, even though she doesn't need his permission.
And why'd you ask?
Yeah, I know. And Nathan agrees that she doesn't need his permission, but next time she wants to talk, she doesn't have to pretend. He doesn't want to play games.
He's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then she's like, yeah, like having me work with Chris.
Right. And then he asks how things are going with Chris, and she says it's coming along.
But is it?
Yeah. And he says, to give up is a big part of who she is. And then that's when, after he walks away, she says, so are you.
I know. That's what was annoying was when he was like, oh, that's a big part of who you are. I'm like, but is it really? I mean, all of a sudden it is, but it was never in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, I mean, I don't know, like what's gotten into Nathan. Like I know he's
Right.
upset with her, but it's like, do you not care anymore or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't it what you're getting to?
Right.
Like, remember how obsessed he was with her?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, like, oh, just, keep doing it. It's like,
Right.
That's why when she said, like, so are you, it's like, and yet he's not registering that either.
Mm-hmm.
That she's also a big part of his life.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I get he's still mad, but he also said he still loved her and would always love her or something. So it's just kind of weird that he's acting like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get you don't trust her, but you trust her enough to work with a person that destroyed your relationship.
Right. And then elsewhere on campus, Payne asks Brooke how things are going with her and Lucas. And Brooke, tells her about Rachel in the back seat and her flipping out. And Payne laughs about Rachel stealing Brooke's move. And
So how did she know about that move?
yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem plausible that more than one teenage girl would get this idea.
I mean, did it go around school like that's what Brooke did? I mean,
it could have, yeah, but it's
just
still
kind of
weird.
odd, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like one thing if she like was in the town or something and she knew about it, but just to do it is kind of weird.
Yeah. And then Payne points out that Brooke was the one that put them together. And the point is, Brooke says that the point is Rachel can't come here and try to steal her squad and her boyfriend. But again, Lucas isn't her boyfriend.
But also, whose fault was that?
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that pushed those two together.
Yeah.
She can't get mad now.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, she's the one that didn't want to be exclusive and call each other boyfriend and girlfriend. So that's your own fault.
Right.
Like, Brooke is becoming very childish with her relationship with Lucas, and it's actually annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Payne tells Brooke to apologize to Lucas so they can clear the air about this whole thing, and might have to use the word exclusive.
For Brooke? That's funny.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when Brooke sees Lucas putting up the flyers for his fantasy football, I believe.
Yeah, the fantasy draft or whatever.
And then that's when she comes up to say about, she knows she was hard on him the other night and the date with Rachel was her idea, but she does have feelings for him. And Lucas says he thought that, what she said about the other night was the kind of guy that she wants him to be. And he wants to be that guy for her, but she has to let him.
Well, I thought it was funny because he was holding up that stapler.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, she's like, do you promise to lower the weapon? He was like, oh, it was funny.
Mm-hmm. And then she asks about how this league works. So he explains.
And then she said, it sounds kinky.
Right. Just because it has the word fantasy in it. But yeah.
Oh, Brooke.
And then they go into the school where a girl is yelling at someone, calling them a liar. Basically, it ends up being Bevan and a girl named Ashley fighting over a guy.
It's kind of weird to because we know in high school who Bevan dates. So it's just kind of weird to see her right here fighting over someone else.
Right. And Lucas and Brooke are there, and Lucas says the guy thing about saying he could fantasize about this. And Brooke tells Bevan, the other girl, Ashley, to stop fighting. And Rachel tells Brooke she can't blame them. They watched their captain go all kung fu hustle at Midnight Madness, and now they all want to look like Brooke.
I did not like when she said about Brooke's wardrobe being from Goodwill. I'm like, what's wrong with Goodwill?
Right.
Do you know what you can find at Goodwill, Rachel? I mean, seriously, you can find brand new stuff, actually. That's what's annoying, is you could, why would you pay full price for something when you can go to Goodwill and get it a lot cheaper?
And then that's when Whitey walks out of his office, blowing his whistle to break them up.
Okay, so when he said, another fight like this and there won't be any cheerleaders this season, I was like, okay. But then he said, get your squad under control to Brooke. But this is where a cheerleading coach would come into play, not Brooke. How is, again, one high school student in charge of the whole team? Isn't that why there's a basketball coach and not Nathan?
Right. And then he had called them Bevan and Ashley, Paris and Nicole.
And said, what'd you think of that?
Yeah, well, I keep forgetting that was even a thing back then because it was, 20 years ago. So I really vaguely remember it, but I got the gist of what he meant by that.
Well, and now Paris and Nicole are coming back.
Right, yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, that's what was kind of funny when I was watching it, because I was like, oh, that's funny. And then it's like, all these years later, they're coming back together.
But then he said the inappropriate thing about if he wanted to watch cheerleaders wrestle, he would put on pay-per-view. And then he says that if she doesn't get the squad under control, they'll be ended up cheering for the chess team. And then Brooke takes them to that classroom to, give them a pep talk about the whole drama between liking the same guys.
Which, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? Coming from Brooke.
Yeah.
Remember that love triangle? It's like, did Brooke totally forget that or something? I mean, where do you think they probably learned it from?
Right. And then Ashley and Bevan are still fighting over the guy. And Bevan shockingly says, too bad he's not into horrors. And that's when Brooke yells that that's enough. And Rachel laughs. And then, Brooke asks if she has a problem. And she says no, she's waiting to hear her plan. And that's when Brooke sees Lucas's flyer for his basketball league on the bulletin board and gets her idea for a fantasy boy draft.
So for this fantasy boy draft, obviously you can't do that in real life, but
right, no.
Okay, so the whole thing is, as Brooke says, is you can't go after someone else's pick, right? It's just a little odd, because I mean, what if the person picks somebody that you're gonna date, or they break up? And I know, Brooke said, then you can switch or something, but it's who's gonna switch their pick?
Right, except for Bevan, because she's clueless.
No, I mean, if they want to switch down the line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just stupid, because I'm like, I mean, it's funny for the show because we know what happens, but it's just kind of realistically, what?
Yeah, and Brooke never explains what would happen if any of the guys asked any of the girls out that that wasn't their pick. What do they do? Turn them down, or
right? Because you're stuck with that pick.
For the season or whatever.
For the whole year, I feel like. And that's my thing, is what happens if you don't like each other anymore? And then for the guy, what if he doesn't even like his pick?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that kind of rude for him? Of like, oh, you picked me? I don't really
Right.
like you.
And then too, with them trying to, find a solution to this problem of the guys that they like at school, they end up having Chris in the mix that doesn't even go to the school.
Yeah. I
I mean,
was
that
so
was
confused
Rachel's
with that.
fault, but yeah.
Well, yeah, Rachel brings that up, but is it because they didn't have any more people?
Yeah,
Like,
except for
it
Tim, but yeah.
seems like no one's gonna pick Tim.
Right.
Is it because like
And Jake's not around.
yeah, because like we have now more girls in the picture than we do boys.
Yeah.
So we have to throw Chris in. Plus, let's just make it more awkward for Nathan.
Yeah, too bad that he couldn't have like the River Court boys more involved, besides for Chris and Mouth.
But yeah,
I mean, not Chris. I meant Skills and Mouth.
yeah. But yeah, I was just like this fantasy thing. Well, and then it's just kind of weird because like, okay, so Rachel, because we know who Rachel picks, and it's like, so Brooke, that means you can't date him, right? I mean, what? That's what it didn't really. That's what threw me off about this. I'm like, okay, you're not supposed to be like, you're not supposed to pick that person's pick or whatever, or go after them. Like that's gonna stop them,
right? And then in order to keep them from not breaking the rules, Brooke threatens to reveal their secrets.
Don't these girls have secrets of Brooks?
Probably, yeah. Yep. So if they break any of the rules, they get cut from the team.
So does that mean Brooke can get cut from the team too?
I guess technically, yeah.
You know what's weird? Is after the next episode, we don't ever hear about the fantasy draft again.
Right. Because I think it gets really messed up that no one is really following the rules anymore.
Well, because the next one is the date, and then after that,
right?
I don't remember hearing about it after their dates of like,
I guess
you're still mine or anything.
Well, we know some of them sick with each other. Haley and Nathan.
Bevan for time.
Yeah. So kind of, yeah, but most of them not really.
Yeah, but not Brooke and Lucas, because at least for this part, like.
Well, I guess because the whole problem was with Ashley and Bevan, and Bevan stops liking that one guy and like Skills. So I guess
all of a sudden,
that's what fixed it.
All of a sudden, she stopped liking that one guy for Skills.
Yeah.
Out of the blue. So weird.
Yeah. And then apparently Brooke had rigged it so she would, her and Peyton and Haley would be like the first, 1, 2, and 4 choices, and then Rachel 5. And then that's when the next scene, Deb walks into the cafe to update Karen on her feud with Dan, saying she clocked his side of the house. Now he's full of crap more than usual. And then that's when Karen shows Deb her campaign poster. And I thought that was
row for mayor.
Yeah, or row your vote, which is clever. But that was funny when they were hanging it up, and then that's when they see the big truck with Dan's face on it right in front of them, right in front of the cafe across the street.
Yeah,
and he parks it there, I guess, for the whole day.
Well, of course he's gonna park it right there in front of Karen's cafe.
Yep. And then Deb's like, I think you're gonna need a bigger poster.
But then he comes out and holds his thumb up. I'm like, oh my god.
Yep. And then the next scene is with Peyton in class, not paying attention because she's messing with Ellie's bracelet. And I did listen to that podcast again. Apparently, we see the bracelet better later on, anyways. But there's 3 numbers on there, which represents how many years that Ellie was in remission before her cancer came back.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. And then she gets that note from Brooke about the draft. And then Lucas notices Peyton looking at it, but he's sitting 2 seats back behind Bevan, I believe. But apparently he was close enough to still see the list. I didn't get that part, how he was able to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like either one of the girls were like holding it out for everyone. They kind of were only holding it to themselves. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then Peyton tosses Brooke's boy draft list back to her, but then Brooke drops it on the floor. And that's when the teacher catches her.
Okay, I'm sorry, but if you're in the very first row like they were,
Right.
you don't pass notes back and forth.
Mm-mm.
Like, seriously? That's when the teacher's going to get you because okay, I'm not going to lie. In school, I tried to avoid the front row. I only sat there if I was forced to by the teacher. Otherwise, my butt was not, my butt liked the back seat or in the back because I did not want to be in the front because it seemed like that's where the teachers were that would call on you.
Right.
Well, it seemed like if you were in the back, the discussion was more in the front. So I just stayed away from it.
And then the teacher was discussing the Boxer Rebellion that happened in China, but of course Brooke wasn't listening, so she thought they were talking about underwear. So she said that they totally won over the briefs, making the class laugh, of course. And then as she's saying this, that's when Brooke was hiding her note in her purse right in front of the teacher as well.
And she's also able to have a purse.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that was allowed either.
I mean, that's the thing is like our school, I don't know about other schools, but like ours is very picky. We couldn't even bring our book bags. So the fact that like here they get to bring their book bags and stuff, it's like even on Dawson's Creek, they got to remember. It's like, yeah, but wouldn't that defeat the purpose of a locker then?
Yeah.
If your book bag is with you, what do you need to go to your locker for?
Yeah, I don't know.
So you wouldn't need one. The school wouldn't need to provide you one. So I do understand that. So, yeah, I don't know. And she gets her purse too. That's distracting.
And of course, the teacher wants Brooke to give her the note, but then Rachel makes a distraction, bringing up some lawyer-like speak.
Is that even true? What she was saying?
I didn't look it up. She said it's in New Jersey, but they're not even in New Jersey though, right? They're in
North Carolina.
Yeah, so I don't know why Rachel brought up New Jersey when they're not even in the state. But either way, it was distraction from the teacher because she apparently forgot about the note because the bell rings.
But I'm like, is it even true that they can't go through a student's property? I don't, because that's what she was kind of saying.
Well, I know here in Michigan, they can if they need to.
Right. Well, think about it. If you're in class and you're passing notes around, they can take them.
Yeah.
So the fact that Brooke it's like, yeah, the teacher can take it. You're a distraction. You're disrupting the whole class.
Yeah, so it is a real thing, but again, it's a completely different state, so I don't know why Rachel brought it up as if it was relevant for their state.
Well, and like you're in the front row. If you were passing notes in the back, nobody would be able to see you. But the fact that you're doing it right in the front, of course, everyone is going to watch you. And especially when Brooke has her facial expressions going on that she was having, you're really going to pay attention to her and not the teacher. So no kids learn that day.
Yeah, so Rachel stays by the door and, her and Lucas kind of flirt a little bit. And then Brooke walks up and asks Rachel, like, did you think I really needed your help? Though I think Brooke should have kind of thanked Rachel in this moment because if she would have got caught with the draft, then everything would just, fall apart and they would have all probably got in trouble for it. But
I was like, as much as I don't like Rachel, in like season 3, I'm like, she did do her a favor. She did get her out of it.
Yeah.
Somehow, some weird, crazy way.
When she tells Rachel, like, she's got everybody else fooled, but not her. And then Brooke, ends up walking with Lucas in the hallway and points out that Rachel, saved her back there. And Brooke tells Lucas he's not allowed to defend Rachel and would be appreciative if he didn't associate her clothed or otherwise. And then Lucas asks, does this mean that she's going to pick him in the boy draft? And Brooke says, how do you find out about it? And he says that from 3 rows back, he still knows what a fantasy draft looks like. So, do you know what a fantasy draft looks like?
A real one?
Yeah, because it wasn't what Brooke written out. It was just a list of names.
Not really. I don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, well, I do because my brother is into it, and it definitely doesn't look like that at all. So, what Lucas said wasn't true because, like I said, it was just a list of guys' names. That was it. It wasn't even any of the girls, with the boys' names. So, how would you tell it was anything like a draft?
Because I know like the March Madness drafts.
Mm-hmm.
I know what those look like and stuff. So
Right. Well, the football ones are nothing like that one. And then Brooke explains, about the draft, what she's doing with it, just to make sure the squad doesn't kill each other. And Lucas asks if Brooke is having her cake and eating it too, and she says she could be or not be, but she'll let him know if they have to schedule a private workout for research. And then that's when Rachel goes up to Payne at her locker, tries to like the other girls, try to like get her on her side a little bit and give her that bootleg CD, even though Peyton does reject it at first until she comes back around and grabs it from her.
yeah, I like that because you can tell like Ian doesn't really truly hate Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
She's just only trying to because of Brooke.
Yeah. And then in the gym, the guys are doing the drills again, and the cheerleaders are on the other side, or not the other side, but the bleachers. And Brooke and Haley are watching them, and Haley mentions that Lucas looks really tired, and Brooke says, well, she hasn't been keeping him up at night, but things could change after the draft. And Haley tells Brooke to keep an eye on him because she has to go, and Brooke says she will or too. And then apparently just some back rows behind them is Peyton drawing when Mouth walks up to her.
So what is
And,
Mouth doing there?
The announcer, even though it doesn't have to be there.
It's practice.
Yeah, I don't know. He can't really make interviews or anything, so. But he asks Payne if she's working on some potential draft picks, and she says no. And just shows him her drawing, and apparently it's of Ellie and her. When in the drawing at least, Ellie's giving Payne the bracelet, and then he says that everybody's talking about the draft, so he was wondering if there's any chance like a guy like him could get a shot at getting picked. And Payne says he's a catch, so he will be. And he'll probably be the only guy alive anyways, because she's looking at Lucas, who looks like he's going to collapse at any moment. Surprised he hasn't yet.
Oh my god, though, but Whitey.
Mm-hmm. Calling him out.
Yeah, he said, why don't you hop on your brother's back and let him carry you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yep.
But then he was like, oh, let's do it again. It's like, wasn't it because Lucas didn't make it?
Yeah, he wasn't going fast enough. And then out in the quad, Brooke runs into Bevan and asks why Rachel was scouting for the draft today. Wasn't Rachel scouting for the draft today? And Bevan answers because Rachel already knows who she's going to pick. And Brooks, what is asking who that is. And Bevan says that Rachel made a promise not to tell anybody. So then basically Brooke, bribes her with her necklace. And that's when Bevan blurts out that it was Chris.
Where did Brooke get her necklace from? Did her parents buy it when she was gone for the summer? Like when she went to go visit them?
Yeah, maybe.
And I mean, come on now. Why would Rachel's pick be Chris Keller? Really, Brooke?
Yeah, and apparently she met him at the record store. And she's got a thing for musicians, but that's a lie.
She?
No, I don't think so. She never does like Chris, so.
No, she did it because she knew Brooke would go after. Why would Brooke even want to go after her pick when she finds out who it is?
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah, I would be like, go ahead, Rachel, you can have them.
And then we go to Chris telling Haley that it sucks, her song at least. And Haley says she's worked really hard on it. And Chris says that he's wondering if he can unhear a song because it's so bad. And then, so now maybe she got that out of her system. They can write something good. And then he asks how things are with Nathan, and she says she's not discussing that with him. Of course, still not knowing that they're working together. So he actually already knows how they're doing, just not from her side of the story.
Yeah, but Nathan doesn't really say much either.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really know. He just knows they're not together like they should be.
Yeah. So Chris tells Haley, like, once she deals with everything that's going on with Nathan, her music is going to suffer. And then at school, we see Skills at school for the first time, I think, since the Dare Night, I think.
Okay. This is like the first time Skills is in school?
Yeah, I think since Dare Night. Wasn't Dare Night the first time?
Was he in the school?
I'm pretty sure that's because that's when they got Felix's
But I thought it was just the main. I thought it was just the main characters that were at their locker, and then when they went to the cafe, then they were all there. Because I'm pretty sure in the hallway it was just them, and then when they went to the cafe, it was all of them.
Well, wouldn't the cafe still be part of the school anyhow?
No.
Cafe, not cafeteria. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So I think this is the first time Skills ever was in school.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, apparently he was in the art center. That was the explanation for him being gone. And then he tells Lucas that he heard about Rachel, making the Brooke move, and that he could share his wealth, which I didn't really like from hearing from Skills. But Lucas Skills asks if Lucas is all right because for the first half of the summer he played like straight trash, and then he's back to the old Luke. And Lucas says he's just getting into shape, and that's when Skills brings up like it wouldn't have to do with the heart condition that his mom was worried about, and he says no because he tested negative.
Liar.
Right. So I guess Lucas and Skills never talked about it again since then.
No, and you
now-
would think that he would since he's been playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like the minute Lucas picked the ball back up again, you would think that Skills would have said, "Hey, wait, did you take it? Like, what's the results?"
Yeah, and he tells Lucas
Especially when Karen threatened them all,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he tells Lucas that people in his life love him more than the game.
which is true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lucas just tells Skills he'll be fine.
But then the whole time, like Bevan's checking Skills out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. Out of nowhere, just a couple scenes ago, she was arguing about a guy.
Right. Yeah, she's not being very slick with it either because she's out in the open. And apparently she's been doing it all day because Skills says that the last time somebody was following him around like that was in a department store. So I was surprised about that line originally when I watched this. And then as the boys walk away, Bevan starts running when Skills looks at her. And then outside, Brooke is telling Payne what happened at work. Apparently, Brooke's manager showed the designs that she made to the corporate monkeys at Suburban Filth, and they responded well. So all she needs now is Rachel to die of TSS, and then life will be perfect. And then Peyton is the only one to notice the guys looking at them as they walk by. And then that's when Brooke explains it's a boy draft and that they're the first two picks. So that's why the guys are trying to give them attention. And now they have all the power. It clicks for Peyton that Brooke rigged the draft order so she could get Lucas. And Brooke asks Peyton who was her choice. Brooke asks Payne who's her choice. So Payne asks if there's any chance that Jake would be back by Friday, and Brooke says no. But every boy wants to be the first pick, so that's when she
drops Peyton's books.
Yeah, knocks them out of her hands, and then all the other guys start dive bombing, trying to pick them up for her. And then later, when Payne goes back into the school, Haley catches up to her, talking about Rachel with the rest of the cheerleaders, and says she never expected the cheerleading squad to have more drama than the drama club. And
then Payne's like, "Well, what did you expect?" And she's like, "I don't know." But she said that she was glad that she gets to see more of Nathan and, the girls. And then she literally tells Peyton that she just doesn't know how she's gonna balance the music thing with Chris. And then Peyton right away, "You're working with Chris again?" She's like, for someone that wants to stay close to Nathan, spending time with the guy that drove you apart is a hell of a way to show it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, because she wasn't even really paying attention to Haley going on and on until she said that. So that was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's mad at her and annoyed with her. So she's just like, oh, whatever. And then, oh, Chris's name. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which I agree with Peyton because she has no idea that Nathan, kind of pushed her to do that.
Yeah, and Haley doesn't.
And Haley never says it.
Yeah, because Payne doesn't let her explain it. Yeah.
But wouldn't you say it right away?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say how Haley was describing it wasn't like, oh my God, I have to work with him.
Right.
I got to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know how I'm going to balance this. And it's like, I don't know. It seemed like she was okay with it.
Right.
Not disgusted that I have to work with him.
Mm-hmm. And then back outside, the cheerleaders are scoping out the guys for the draft, taking notes. And that's when Rachel comes up, and the guy that they were talking about says that he shoots for the other team. And then Rachel tells the squad that she knows who she's picking, but she thought the rest of them would appreciate the report she made about them.
Can you believe she did all that?
Yeah, in binders and everything. And she even got some...
one day?
Yeah. And she even got some of the guys shirtless for their picks. And then Lucas is in the gym practicing the drill, trying not to get behind again. And then Payne's on the quad drawing her and Ellie when, like I said, Ellie giving her the bracelet. And then the girls are just now making it very obvious what they're doing because they're measuring the guys and taking pictures and making notes and everything. And the guys don't care at all.
Nope, they're loving it.
Mm-hmm. And then with the line of being pictures taken, that's when Mouth comes up and...
I did not like that.
Yeah, neither did I.
Like, move away.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because he sadly walked off. And then Lucas is in the gym still trying to catch his breath when a water bottle comes
He's
flowing.
gonna die.
Yep.
And of course it's Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And all he wants to do is tell Lucas to tell his mom to drop out.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep. Because Dan's not concerned about Lucas at all because he knows that Lucas didn't tell Karen yet about his heart condition, and Dan doesn't even know if he's taking the medication or not by stealing money from the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would think that Lucas would be kind of scared to even be in a gym alone with Dan after what happened the last time when he strangled Lucas like that.
Yeah.
And then
Well, but Dan, he then was like, he's just said, just talk to her. Like that's it. If you can catch your breath.
mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yep. And then in the hallway, Bevan is checking out Skills again as he drinks from the water fountain. And then she has like that fantasy because she was checking out his butt and he asks if she wants to touch it and all that. But then when she wakes up again, he's still at the water fountain and she's still staying in the same corner like she was before. And then again, she runs off when he notices her. And that was funny too, how after she ran off, Skills was checking out his own butt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny.
And then Haley walks into the cafe. Lucas mentions she's late. And she says that makes it two of them, but she was at the library doing research about his medication. So that's the big thing, like the difference between then and now. Like we can just look up any medication on Google to see the side effects, while Haley had to go to the library and go through probably so many books.
Right.
And it took so long. But yeah, so apparently the side effects, the very slow movement of physical performance is one of the side effects of his medication, which apparently he's just now feeling, even though he's been on it for a while, even before, like with Dan, when Dan was paying for it, he didn't have any problems then. So surprised it took this long for him to actually feel something. And then, she's telling that if he can't tell his mom, he should at least talk to Whitey.
And it was just, Lucas was annoying because the whole time he just kept saying, like, I can handle it, I've got it and stuff. And it's like, but you don't. You're about to drop dead on the floor.
Yeah, that's what Haley tells him. Yeah, other players have.
Mm-hmm.
So if he doesn't tell Whitey, she will.
That was good.
Yeah. And then this was at the cafe, right? With the map. It was a little hard to tell.
Yep.
Okay. Because I feel like it could have worked that trick too. Chris says if it's possible to unmeet a person. I don't know who he was talking about though, but oh no, I'm sorry, Haley said that. Because I'm meeting Chris. But then he goes on to say that she should put her name up there, but she doesn't think she deserves it. But then again, he only puts Haley James on there. Even though that's her stage name, but
did you notice that her hair, this is the continuity issue, when it was on her, her hair was down, but then it was like pulled back kind of when it was on his take, and it kept going back and forth. Her hair's up and down and up and down. I'm like, oh
no,
my
I didn't
god.
notice. No, I didn't notice.
It pulled me out of the scene just because of the hair issue. Like, okay, this is my thing is like, if you're gonna tell somebody to pull their hair back or something, then it needs to stay like that through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you decide that you like it down, then you need to only keep the edits in that are down. You can't keep doing back and forth because everybody points that out.
Right.
And it was so obvious. I just kept looking at her hair.
And then Dan and Deb puts laxatives in the coffee pot that Dan's going to drink.
That was good.
Mm-hmm. And then when he takes the cup of coffee with him, he takes a couple sips and heads out the door.
Yeah, it was funny because he's like, gotta run. And she's like, I'll bet.
Yeah. And it was funny because she had the bottle of laxatives in her coffee cup that she was holding, but he didn't even notice because he didn't even look at her.
Mm-mm.
So
I know. When she put it back in there, I was like, that's where you're keeping it?
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, that's when he goes into the cafe trying to, be all tough with Karen, saying how he's going to win because nobody really knows her. And then, he starts to continue what he was saying, but then he has to stop because then now he can feel the effects of the laxative. So he asks, Karen if she has a bathroom, and he does his little walk to go over there. So that was funny. And then at school, Payne and Nathan are walking together in the hallway when Payne mentions to Nathan that he survived Whitey's practice and asks how he's doing, he says he's rolling with it. And then apparently he heard.
Well, oh, go ahead.
I would say he heard Payne's podcast, so he knows about her mom's situation, because I guess they don't talk very often. And Payne says just like him, she can roll with it.
So when they bring up the draft, and he's like, "Oh, any chance I won't get picked?" He's like the number one star player. Does he really think he wouldn't get picked?
Right.
And like, even if Haley wasn't on the team, like, does he really think he wouldn't get picked? Also, what happens if these boys actually have girlfriends that are not cheerleaders?
And then I guess they should be excluded from it, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They're thinking about using Nathan.
Oh yeah,
and he's married.
Well, maybe because they know he's not like actually with Haley right now. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know some girls. They'll still go after your man even if you are together.
So Payne tells
then she's like, but she brings up that, you're safe with Brooke and Bevan, but then there's the fourth pick, your wife. And it's just so annoying. Like he's so wishy-washy at this point. It's like you're pushing Chris and Haley back together, right? But then you tell Haley, like, oh, I don't want to play games, just talk to me. But now you don't even want her to pick you. Like, what is going on with Nathan in this episode? The back and forth. But then she says, I can pick you if you don't want her to pick you. Oh my God.
Right. And this kind of reminds me of the boy toy auction, kind of similar. Because Peyton at least tries to end up getting Nathan. But because before, Haley didn't want her to get Nathan, she did want her to get Nathan, but now she doesn't. But we don't know what he says to this, just because then we see Luke is going to see Whitey, to try to tell him what's going on with his heart. But then he ends up just saying that he's out of shape, so he chickens out, of course. So I don't know why he said that when he knows that Haley's going to tell Whitey anyhow. Either way, it's going to come out.
Yeah, but then he only said, like, they don't deserve it. It's in the team and stuff. Whitey, don't worry, son. I'll take care of you.
Yep.
Oh, my God. And then they're on the court at practice. And Whitey was so... the fact that he just doesn't want to protect Lucas at all.
Oh, yeah, keeps calling him out.
Yeah, and he was like, I've been hard on you guys lately, according to your co-captain Lucas Scott. And it's like, of course, it's like everyone's like looking at him. So today he's taking practice off so he can catch up on his sleepy time.
Yeah.
What? Is he a baby? And he goes, go have a seat. And then he said that while he's gonna be kicked back, enjoying a cold drink and having a mani-pedi, and the rest of them are gonna work twice as hard. And then they all look at him.
Yep. Yeah, so they haven't probably hated him since when he first joined the team.
And Lucas is just like, I didn't do this on purpose.
And then Whitey was still being hard on them because when they were going on their drills, he said that his grandmother can run faster than them.
Maybe he should have told Lucas that.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the gym, Haley's with the cheerleaders.
So I have a question. Yeah. Why did Whitey do that?
I don't know.
Lucas came to him and said, I'm the reason why they're slacking, because you can tell he is. I'm the one that is out of shape. Why would he put more pressure on them and let him off the hook?
Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of out of character for him.
I feel like normal coaches would be like, then you're going to come morning, day, night, and you're going to just do all these drills. I'm going to just, put torture on you, but not Whitey. Go take a load off.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, they don't really, they keep changing Whitey and what's going on with him. Like I said, they dropped that cancer plot line. They never said if he was okay or not, but yeah. And then he's gonna retire, then he doesn't retire, so I don't know. Yeah, so Haley's worried about Lucas, and then Bevan walks up to her, asking, being sweet at first, asking how things are going with her and Nathan.
That was annoying.
Yeah.
I did not like that at all. Because, she was like, oh, it's complicated and stuff, but she wasn't giving up. And she's like, you go, Hales. And then she's like, he's a no-go, girls.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
And then that's when Haley's like, he's my, like Bevan, he's my husband. And then Peyton comes up and is like, well, because Haley goes, you can't seriously be thinking of drafting him. And Peyton comes up, yeah, Bevan, you can't draft Nathan because I have the first pick and I'm taking him. It's like, now, do you think Nathan told her to pick him?
Well, I don't know.
Because
She
why would she
volunteered,
say
but
it?
yeah, so I'm guessing that they did agree on it. We just didn't see it.
Well, then why didn't she follow through with it?
I don't know, because
If that's who she's siding with, is Nathan, right?
mm-hmm.
Then why wouldn't you have his back? If he really told you to pick him, why wouldn't you follow through with that?
Well, we just know that later Payne says that she only backed down because Haley was starting to fight for Nathan. So I guess that was the reason why.
Yeah, but remember when she said, if you're not ready, I can pick you. And then we
Yeah, I
don't
don't know.
hear what he says, but then here she says, I'm picking him. It's like, so then he did say it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're on board that you're picking him, then why didn't you follow through with it if you're truly on his side?
Right.
That's what's weird is like Peyton, I don't know. It just was a weird turn that she's not going to side with Nathan for that. Like, what if he truly didn't want her to pick him?
Right.
But all because Haley's fighting, it doesn't mean that's what he wants.
Mm-hmm. And then later in the hallway, Rachel is taping a picture of Chris on a locker when Brooke walks up and says it's a poster free zone or poser free zone, ripping it off the locker and the picture in half. And Rachel asks Brooke if she's jealous because the Keller isn't into her. Don't know where that nickname came from. And then Brooke says she wouldn't let the Keller into her if he were the last. But then that's when Whitey shows up. And then, her and Rachel act all nice. And one of them says that they're just beaches now. And Whitey thinks that that's their way of calling them or each other bitches. And he says that, if they do that, then the guys are going to think it's okay too. But then Brooke explains that it's the movie. So then, he's glad to hear that. And then they go back to hating each other after he walks off. And then Payne comes to save Brooke now by dragging her off away from Rachel before she kills her. And she asks Brooke how she feels about mathletes because that's who she's going to be cheering for if she doesn't quit, matching out with Rachel. And then that's when Brooke tells Payne as soon as she can make peace with Haley.
So when I did like how Brooke at least had Haley's side in that by saying like, you can't draft Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
He's Haley's. And she was like, no, he was. They're still married, Peyton.
Yeah.
And then she said, then she skipped town. Like, you're still forgetting they're married. It's like, does she really not believe in the two of them?
I don't know.
Like, she's not a good friend then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know, it's just kind of funny though how like I liked how Brooke was definitely on the team Nathan and Haley.
And then Brooke, asks if there's anybody else that Payne could pick, and she says, "Yeah, Lucas." And Brooke
She's like,
says,
"No, he's a
yep.
great choice."
Yep, changes her mind then.
Oh my god!
And then somewhere else, Haley walks up to Lucas, figuring out that he didn't talk to Whitey, and she says, "Fine, that she'll just tell him." But then he starts going on about, if he tells Whitey about his heart condition, he'll be off the team.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, he'll be off the planet.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas tells her that the longest time he's been outsider, and since he joined the team, the guys accepted him, but they didn't.
Mm-mm.
And
when did they start to?
Yeah, and then he already had a team before that in the River Court, so
His true friends.
Yeah, so he always had like a place where he really, really belonged. So, and yeah, so Haley tells Lucas to listen to himself, like what he's saying, like the medication is supposed to inhibit his performance. That's how it saves his life. And then Lucas
How
starts.
did you like when he said, "I'm not gonna die if I take the pills"? Well, you might. I mean, but isn't it if he takes the pills, he's supposed to also not put pressure on his heart, which would mean he can't play basketball?
Right. Yeah.
So
it's just the fact that he keeps physically running himself, low like that is the reason why it's hurting him than helping him.
Yeah, it's like, when's he gonna realize that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Haley tells Lucas that he's not invincible, and she just hopes that he lives long enough to realize it. And then later that night, the cheerleaders go to Brooke and Haley's apartment for the draft. Mouth is there in front of the door, like advertising himself as a good sleeper pick. And when girl thinks that means something else and is grossed out, and the doors close on his face before mouth can explain what it really means. And then inside the apartment, Brooke hands out cookies she made, and the girl
apparently not very good ones.
Yeah, because she doesn't like it and uses it as a coaster for her drink, which is funny. So I don't know if what she's going to do later on, because it's going to be visible one way or another. Because Brooke can be cleaning up and find it like that. But Haley walks up to Payne and tell her that she's wasting her time drafting Nathan. She can pick him, and she can't stop her, but she's not going anywhere. Her and Nathan are meant to be together, and they both know that. And one of these days, he will too.
But then Rachel walks in with cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course she did. Did she know Brooke was making cookies?
Maybe trying to one-up her, yeah. And then the girls are distracted and not paying attention, so Brooke, asks who's seen her new wall, that Peyton made. It's the French Riviera, and Rachel corrects her, saying that's the Italian, actually.
Did you notice that the Haley's picture and the pink cross that is still up there?
Oh, no, but I'm not surprised.
Wouldn't you be embarrassed?
Yeah, but I guess Haley wants to keep it up there to remind her, I guess. And then Payne asks Brooke if she and Rachel buried the hatchet yet, and Brooke says, funny thing, she's about to bury in her throat, actually, And then Brooke walks over to Haley, who is, mad at Peyton, so she asks if her being an honor student would make it the consequence worse for her if she ends up stabbing Peyton with a giant fork, and even picks up a fork from the table. And Brooke takes it from her and says for them not to leave sharp objects around the house.
Yeah, that was funny.
And she knows the whole thing with Nathan sucks for her, but she needs her help bringing Rachel to her knees. And she knows it's ironic, but her plan is going to snipe her draft pick. And she needs to know what it feels like when the shoe's up the other ass. And Haley asks Brooke what does she need from her, but don't say shoes. And then Brooke reminds Haley that Rachel is 5th while she is 4th. So she needs her to pick Lucas so no one else gets him. And then Haley asks what about Bevan because she's 3rd, and Bevan, or Brooke says Bevan has picking skills. So then she asks Haley if they have a deal, and she says yes, because if she can't have Nathan, she might as well take Lucas. Kind of like the boy draft or the boy toy auction. And then at the studio, or a studio somewhere, Chris is playing the piano when Nathan walks in.
Gives him half of the money for Haley's studio time.
Mm-hmm. And Chris goes on about, songwriters. And this one that there's a legend about one being back. Like way back, for the gift of music. And that's when Chris says, does that mean that he's the devil? And Chris says, no, he's Robert and Nathan's the devil.
What? I'm sorry. When he said that, he goes, no, you're the devil. I was like, Nathan is far from the devil.
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan asks Chris how Haley's doing with the music. He says, not well.
So when he said, we're not here to talk about me and Haley or something, just like Haley and her music, I did agree with Chris when he was like, you don't get it. They're the same thing.
Right.
I did, because think about it. When she was brave enough to start singing, it was with Nathan.
Yeah.
So if Nathan really doesn't think that it has anything to do with him, he's so wrong for that.
Right.
But also, Haley doesn't understand that either, apparently. Because when Chris asks her, I don't think he's asking her to be nosy. I think he's asking her because he wants her to write a song.
Mm-hmm. And then at the cafe, Lucas asks Karen if they can pull the blinds up so they don't have to see Dan's giant face. And Karen says no, it keeps her focused on how badly she needs to beat him. And Lucas says that he saw Dan today and he's not going to make it easy for her. And Karen says if Dan said it himself, and Lucas says more or less. And then Karen says she may not have the money or connections like Dan has, but her reputation is good. She's an upstanding person who raised a decent enough son on her own, but apparently skipped the table manners because he starts using his shirt as a napkin. So Karen gives him one. And Karen tells him if you want to change something, you have to be willing to work hard at it. And Lucas tells her that she does work hard. She runs 2 businesses. And Karen says sometimes when you're done working hard, you have to work a little harder. Then after a few moments, Lucas gets up and Karen asks where he's off to, and he says to work a little harder.
Isn't he been working hard this whole episode?
Yeah.
Trying to kill himself.
Mm-hmm. And then back at the apartment, Brooke gets the draft started.
Yeah, here's what we've all been waiting for this whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Who picks who?
Yep.
So what did you think, though, when first pick was to Peyton, and she looks at Haley, and then she picks Mouth.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
Mouth's reaction was hilarious.
Yeah, because he's still outside the apartment.
I mean, seriously, how long is he going to sit there all night?
Right. Well, I think he's done now that he knows that he was picked and first.
And then Brooke was next. And then Haley was trying to get her attention. Like, hey, she's not picking Nathan, so I'm picking him.
Right.
So then she was like, no, not now, Haley. She goes, I picked Chris Keller. Like,
yeah.
Did you really realize what she said?
Right.
And then she's, oh, Bevan, you're next. And she's like, actually, there's a trade. So for some reason, Bevan thought that trading her third pick for the fifth is better.
Right.
So then it was Rachel's turn, and she picked Lucas.
Yep. And then later, Brooke pulls Bevan to the side, trying to find out what happened. And Bevan basically said that Rachel convinced her that that's, what made it better, that 5 was more than 3. And then...
and she traded the necklace?
Yeah, that too, yep. And then that's when Brooke goes over to Rachel to tell her that it's her necklace. And Rachel says, no, it's hers. But it comes with the matching boyfriend. And Brooke tells Rachel she's not getting Lucas. And Rachel then brings up anyone who's caught breaking the rules will be kicked off the squad. So that means she can have her captain spot too.
So this is what I mean. If the guy doesn't like the girl that chose him, like obviously Lucas likes Brooke. So they can't be together because of this draft, even though he likes Brooke, not Rachel. Like,
right.
You know how stupid that actually sounds?
And then before Brooke can kill Rachel, Rachel makes a toast to Brooke saying she deserves a big round of applause for orchestrating the whole event. And then Rachel tells Brooke anything else of hers that she wants, she'll let her know. And then Haley tells Peyton, thank you for not picking Nathan. And Peyton tells Haley if it wasn't me, it was you. Like I said before, it's about time she started fighting for her husband. And then back at the cafe, Karen and Deb are closing up when they hear talk about Karen on the TV. So then, of course, there's a clip of Karen throwing the chair through Dan's office. Again, I don't know how they got that. And then...
Well, they got it because it was at the dealership. So, of course, Dan has access to his own footage.
Well, I just didn't know if he had his cameras on back then.
Well, he must have. And he did a sure good job of keeping it all. I think any person that's in his life that did something bad, he kept.
Right.
I think everyone else's footage he probably deleted, but like Karen, Deb, Andy, Lucas,
right?
Those people he kept, and he probably has a folder of all their stuff.
Right. And of course, it ends with Dan saying he approves the message, and Karen turns off the TV and says it's time to go negative now. And then Lucas is back at the gym with the drills and a clock this time. And then he doesn't beat it, so he starts it again. And just then we segue to the timer on a meter to see Karen and Deb that paid somebody to move the truck with Dan's face on it. And there's even a Karen Rowe bumper sticker on the truck as it leaves. And then Brooke is at home on her laptop typing out the results for the draft and types out Lucas's name next to Rachel last and struggles to do so. And then at Payne's house, she finishes her drawing of her and Ellie and hangs it up on her bedroom wall for next to the drawing of her mom's tombstone. And next to that one is Jake and Jenny. And Lucas narrates as we see Payne titled that part of the wall as Where Are They Now? Then we see Haley put Scott to the rest of her name over the Wilmington on the map at the cafe. And then the camera zooms all the way in on the Scott sticker. And then we segue to another close-up of the name Scott at Nathan's locker in the locker room. And Lucas is still trying to beat the clock in the gym, and it ends with him struggling. So I'm surprised they didn't go for the drama of it all and have it end with him like collapsing on the gym floor after all that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's like sometimes they take it very dramatic, and a lot of times where it could be, they don't. It's like, yeah, here it is. So for me, I really enjoyed this episode, even though I know I'd said I didn't really believe the draft, but I did think it was funny. It's just not realistic, but it was funny for the show. So for me, my high was the draft and how all the girls were picking like at the end, like when Bevan traded hers is pretty funny because they just start yelling of who they want. Also, Whitey was pretty funny in the episode.
Yeah.
And then the low, Dan, in the gym with Lucas. I didn't like that scene because I don't like Dan.
Mm-hmm. And then my high was when Deb and Karen paid someone to move the truck of Dan's face on it, so it's no longer in front of the cafe. And then my low was when Lucas was trying to save the team from being so pressured by Whitey, but ends up backfiring on him and makes it even worse. And rating?
I would rate this a 9. I really liked it.
Yeah, me too. Give it a 9. And then best and worst?
So my best, I am gonna go with Karen again. I like how she is really trying to help the town by getting rid of Dan.
Yeah.
And then the worst, Dan.
Yeah.
Who's yours?
Yeah, my worst is Dan too, but my best is Chris just because he was trying to help Haley with her music.
What?
Yeah. With the whole map and her name and everything like that.
I never thought you would say the best is Chris.
Yeah, well, for this episode, I don't know about the future episodes, but yeah.
All right, and then next episode?
Episode 7, Champagne for My Real Friends, Real Pain for My Sham Friends.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a long title.
Yep.
All right, thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.